Hey guys, I'm Dov, and today I'm back with more Total War Warhammer 2 online action. Today we're back with Queek and the Skaven. This is actually another battle from Aerocrastic, since I have been working literally like 28 of the last 48 hours. Seriously, I haven't had a whole lot of time to play, so he sent me another replay to cast. This one's going to be a whole lot of fun. We've got Queek here up against the Dwarfs. Obviously, Queek actually can do quite well against the Dwarfs. His armor-piercing anti-infantry obviously applies to most Dwarven characters. The large Dwarven characters won't be subject to the anti-infantry bonus, but still very decent in this matchup. He's got the trophy heads, of course, some clan rats and Skaven slaves, and 10 total slinger units, a mix of Night Runner slingers, Skaven slave slingers, and even a couple of Gutter Runner slingers, I believe, somewhere. Yeah, there's a Gutter Runner slinger with poison over here, so definitely looking for that good old Skaven Daka. We've also got some Plague Clock catapults, looks like 3 of them, a Doom Wheel, more clan rats scattered around, maybe a couple of Warlock engineers perhaps, just with the Warpstone armor, and it looks like one of them's got Warp Lightning, the other perhaps Howling Warp Gale. Can't quite see there, but anyway, for the Dwarfs, looks like Bugman's Rangers, a couple of regular Rangers. We've got the Dragonback Slayers and Warriors of Dragon Fire Pass. Meanwhile, over here, a couple of Longbeards, or sorry, just one Longbeard. Miners with blasting charges, and 2 more Rangers. We've got a Rune Lord here, very good choice against the Skaven. Single solitary cannon, which has been taking the majority of those Plague Clock catapults fire. Really rough stuff. More miners with blasting charges, dwarf warriors, more longbeards, Ulthar's raiders, a rune smith, and dwarf warriors. So, yeah, you can see the dwarves are already moving up to take this shootout engagement here. It's going to be particularly interesting with the Doom Wheel involved here. This big kind of terror-causing, armor-piercing chariot. You can see some nice focus fire. I really like the use of the Night Runner's slings here in the Skaven Slave Slingers to deal with the light armor dwarf units. Lots of Rangers on the field here, and they're going to get some really good effect from those slinger units against the Rangers. And ooh, that's a grudgeon right there. Whoever fired that shot, that was purely friendly fire. Oh man. And yeah, between the terror from the Doom Wheel and the discourage, or rather contaminate, from the Plague Clock catapult, it's going to be enough to terrify away both groups of the regular Rangers here, although of course Bugman's, being the true patriots of the Dawi, are holding out. That being said, the Doom Wheel is taking some damage from the Dragonback Slayers, so a bit of give and take there. Meanwhile, over on this side, this Rune Lord is in the wrong neighborhood. He is all kinds of in trouble with Queek slapping around his chair bearers there. And these poor guys down here, man, they get the dumps. I'll tell you what, they don't even get axes, they just get shields, and they don't get to fight back. They just get slapped while the Rune Lord tries to slap back. But yeah, that Rune Lord's not doing a great job of it. He's definitely shaken at this point, taking a lot of damage from Queek. Probably going to be routed off here, but looks like Rune of Wrath and Ruin, Master Rune of Wrath and Ruin, it did get cast before he got routed there, so hopefully he got at least a couple of casts out of that. So Miners with blasting charges doing a good job trying to clean up these clan rats in the back and protect these Rangers here, who are obviously going to be very key to victory. And yeah, with the Rune Lord gone, the Dwarfs are going to suffer somewhat, although being very resolute and sturdy people, the Dwarfs aren't going to worry too much if their leader flees the field as compared to some other factions, like, say, the Skaven. But yeah, you can see the Dragonback Slayers and these other units of Longbeards and Dwarf Warriors pushing through. Obviously, going to be more than enough to push off those clan rats, but being held in place long enough to get some Plague Clock catapult damage done. I did fail to mention this gyrocopter here, and I actually really like the gyrocopters with the steam guns in this matchup, because the Skaven can't put anything up in the air. The only recourse they have is to shoot back, and generally you can avoid that for the most part and do some really good damage with the steam guns. Umaze, who Aerocrastic is playing here, another very good tournament level player, has been poking away at these Plague Clock catapults, and unfortunately one of the crews did just come back from routing, but has got some pretty decent damage done so far. But yeah, you can see Queek Head Taker, ooh, marked by Ulthar there, and also going to be taking some cannon shots and some axes. One thing to note, the main difference between the Rangers with great weapons here that throw the axes instead of thunders is they have way more missile damage. They have a faster reload time, and they straight up do more missile damage. So yeah, Queek definitely doing the right thing and running the heck away from that situation. He's going to try and save himself if he can, although he did manage to finish off that Rune Lord. I'm not sure exactly where he got off to, but he is down somewhere. But yeah, these Night Runners having to fight Miners in melee isn't the best, although Miners have such poor combat stats that it's actually going to be a pretty even trade at the end of the day. Meanwhile, on the far side there, Warriors of Dragonfire Pass just getting cleaned up by some clan rats. Not sure exactly what happened to that Doom Wheel, but I guess got taken out at some point. But anyway, Queek is still going to be fighting here against these Longbeards. So that cannon is still back online. I'm actually not sure if it got taken offline, but anyway, you can see the Slingers here going to be unloading, getting a nice crossfire on these Dwarf Warriors here. Looks like the Skaven Slave is going to be moving up to shoot at the Ulthar's Raiders, which is a great target. These Ulthar's Raiders don't have a missile block chance, and they do have very low armor, so the Skaven Slave Slingers can generate some really nice value against them there. Looks like the Gyrocopter's going in for a bombing run there, trying to make sure that these Plague Claw Catapult crews stay routed off, which he's doing a pretty good job of. Doesn't look like there are actually any still on the field, so decent gyro play there. Definitely decent gyro play there. And yeah, gyros are kind of underestimated. They're not great in every matchup, but the steam guns I really like in this particular matchup. They can lay down some pretty heavy fire on the lighter Skaven units. Unfortunately, speaking of heavy fire, these Dwarf Warriors are just taking endless sling stones to the back, and that is eventually going to wear them down over time. It'll take a lot of sling stones, but rest assured it will happen. Speaking of getting worn down as well, Queek is almost off the field here. He's very low on leadership, but thankfully he's got some clan rats around to help screen out, and the main thing is to keep Queek alive. Even if he runs away, it's not the end of the world. It's not ideal, but looks like that cannon has either been knocked off or used all of its ammunition. I'm not sure, but yeah, they had taken some damage. It looked like maybe they had got routed off by the Plague Claw Catapult earlier, but I'm not 100% sure. But anyway, some more really nice crossfire coming in on those Longbeards there. The Rune Smith is still fighting, definitely helping to hold the Dawi leadership together since the Rune Lord has been lost. But yeah, Gutter Runners with Poison way out on the far side here, almost out of ammo. Probably going to get outclassed here by the Rangers, who just warded off that Warlock Engineer. And yeah, it looks like we're almost getting set up for a bit of a second phase here. You can see both players kind of consolidating and trying to clean up their respective ends of the map. Only the Rune Smith and these Longbeards really kind of far out of position. But yeah, Ulthar's Raiders still do have quite a bit of ammunition, which is a bit unfortunate because they have taken some casualties, about half their unit models or so. More like, yeah, less than half, but still. They're doing pretty good. They're going to be charging forward, perhaps just trying to get into melee, or no, they're just looks like maybe getting into range to fire at the Night Runners. Obviously, the Gutter Runners in melee, it might actually be pretty even, especially due to the poison of the Gutter Runners. They are all right in melee, and against a unit like Rangers, they'll trade decently well, especially because of the lack of armor there. But not sure, it must have dropped their attack order there, unfortunately. Meanwhile, over here, we've got more Gutter Runners getting routed off, Clan Rats getting routed off, so still a very even game overall. Yeah, Warlock Engineer holding things together. Queek is still alive, although he would definitely beat the Rune Lord normally, but it's interesting. He's going to go for it here. Queek's so low on HP that 1 or 2 hits from the Rune Lord that actually get through his melee defense could potentially rout him off here, so he's going to have to be careful not to commit too heavily there and to make sure he has plenty of infantry support. Going to drop that Verminous Valor, and that I do believe that did knock back the Rune Lord, or the Rune Smith, rather. Yeah, looks like he's been knocked back, so, and then Queek runs away very, very wisely. The Rune of Wrath and Ruin looks like trying to be used to catch him there. The Rune Smith, again, only needs like 1 or 2 attacks to rout Queek off here, and that'll probably finish the Skaven. The balance power not really looking great for them. The Dwarfs definitely resurgent under their High King, you know, who's off hiking somewhere, clearly. But anyway, Rangers great weapons. These Ulthar's Raiders here just kind of cleaning up. The Gutter Runners look like they're going to be taken off the field, and kind of the final stand of the Dawi quickly approaching. And these Gyros, man, absolute MVPs. They have got at least 1 XP share on, about 1.5 there, it looks like. So yeah, unfortunately the loss of this runesmith is going to turn that around. Looks like the trophy heads have been dropped, and then Queek came in, you know, from the side door with a steel chair, so to speak, and was able to rout off the Rune Lord with the support of these Skaven slaves and other bodies nearby. And that's the main issue, is once the Rune Lord gets isolated, his attacks are going to be distracted into the other units around Queek, and it'll be hard to necessarily get attacks focused on Queek himself. And even if they are, his melee defense is such that with the Runesmith's 40 melee attack, he's still not going to have a great chance of making contact. So it's a bit of a risk there. Speaking of risk, these Gyros, true heroes of the Dawi, going in after Queek here. This is all in, and these Ulthar's Raiders do armor piercing and melee, so Queek definitely does not want to get involved with them in particular. But yeah, very nice use of that Verminous Valor there to keep Queek on station, but he actually dives in on those Ulthar's Raiders there. That's very brave, especially with the armor-piercing damage they do, although I guess their melee attack is pretty poor, so they're going to not have a great chance of making contact. But Queek actually gets rear charged there by the Gyros. This might be enough to finish off his leadership down to about 400 HP. And yeah, at this point, even if Queek goes down, I'm not sure it's 100. I'm not 100% sure it's enough to save the Dwarfs at this point. But Queek did not get routed off very critically there. Still fighting with his very, very low 385 HP, and the rest of the Dwarf units being routed off in this pocket as well. Gyros now going to take the crossfire from all the Sling Stones, and despite the fact they have 100 armor, over time, again, with enough volume of fire. And I definitely see what Aerocrastic was going for here with this Skaven volume of fire, and I haven't honestly messed around with the Slingers too much. I tend to favor the Shuriken ranged units just because they can fire in 360, but something like this I might have to mess around with against some other factions as well, and particularly in this battle because Aerocrastic's opponent here went with so many Rangers. Yumeis, in fact, went with so many Rangers. Ended up being a little bit rough because the Slingers were able to generate some really nice value there. The Slingers, I think, would even do well against the armored Dwarf units if you had Wither, but Aerocrastic didn't actually have Lore of Plague here. Both of his casters were from the Lore of Ruin, the two Warlock Engineers. So interesting play. Nonetheless, the Slingers were able to be very effective here, and we're going to fast forward through this late game grind, as it's mostly just the Runesmith trying to survive here, and the Gyrocopters trying to be light cavalry, which they most certainly are not. So they're going to get routed off here. Queek also decides to run away with only about 300 hit points left, but the rest of the Skaven should be able to finish this out. Might take some chasing of routing units, but it will be victory for the Skaven. So I hope you guys enjoyed watching this one. Thanks again to Aerocrastic. He actually did send me this one personally, so a big thanks for that. It's been a lot of fun. And yeah, I always enjoy this, the Skaven replays. They honestly, you know, they made it to the bottom of my tier list, but I don't think Skaven are really that bad. They actually, most of the matchups are pretty even. They just don't have many matchups that are favorable, at least in my eyes right now. But Aerocrastic able to pull out a win here over the Dwarfs. Just the combined arms of the Skaven. I mean, if you can call it combined arms, although I guess this one unit of Clan Rats did get 61 kills, so yeah, we'll call it combined arms because clearly the infantry did something. But yeah, the Doom Wheel did drop a couple nice terror bombs, but didn't get that many kills at the end of the day. 2 of the Plague Claw catapults were able to do quite well, but the third one was countered quite nicely by the Gyros, which at the end of the day racked up 82 kills. Really nice pick against the Skaven. I mean, obviously hindsight is 20/20, but cutting like all of these Rangers and just going with more Gyros probably would have been a more effective strategy against the Skaven, because number 1, they're up in the air. Number 2, they have armor. And number 3, they also put out, I actually don't know, they probably put out less DPS overall, but they have the bombs too, which is always nice, and they're mobile. They're certainly much faster than any other Dwarf unit, so a very nice use of the Gyros there, and I would definitely recommend them. Longbeards did quite well. Warriors of Dragonfire Pass, decent pick here too. The fire damage can be good against things like Hell Pit Abominations, and of course the anti-infantry is going to be very applicable against the Skaven, pretty much across the board. So nice pick there. Yeah, overall, it was a very close-run battle at the end of the day. A few things going in either direction could have swung the battle, but I definitely think the most critical point there was that Rune Lord just getting dunked on by Queek. Just absolutely brutal. Fun stuff, though. Thanks again to Aerocrastic for sending that in. Hope you guys enjoyed watching. If you do like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button, so every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.